'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've travelled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Mooloolaba, Nambour, Wichita, Kilmore, Marillaba, Breville, Emmaville, Wallaville, Connemara, Connemara, Strathrown, Proserpine, Alladala, Darwin, Gingin, Lilliquin, Muckdilla, Wallumbilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, I'm a killer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man.
11 minutes to 11 on a Saturday morning. Time for, that finished in a hurry. Time for Regional Roundup, and we're heading off to a friend of the show. We normally don't go back to the same place for Regional Roundup, but there's an important story to tell, and our friend is, in fact, Shane Goninon. G'day, Shane.
Yeah, good morning, gents. How are we?
Doing okay, thank you very much. It's been a bit hairy. I know what you look like, so to use the expression hairy is not something I use with you very often. Been a bit hairy up your way.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a taste of fire over the last couple of weeks, so it's, basically it started on a Thursday, and then it went right through to the following Saturday, so the Saturday of the next week, so for about 7 days. So, yeah, it was touch and go for a while, but everything came together and kind of got it under control eventually.
Now, you're part of the CFA up there at Warrak. Obviously you were heavily involved because, I mean, the fire was on your property doorstep, literally.
Yeah, look, it started, probably about 5 or 8 k's down the road on the Thursday, and it was in the mountain, actually, in the forest. We couldn't get to it, and just took off from there. The wind was blowing it away from us, so it's gone right round the Mount Cole range, and the whole job then was trying to keep it in the mountains, not get out in the farming or become a big fast-moving grass fire. So it just kept on going for days, and then they got to probably the Tuesday of the following week. Half the mountain is burnt, and of course they know the wind change is coming, so they've decided to light up the rest of the mountain, because if that hadn't been burnt and the wind change had come on the following Wednesday, it just would have blown it back up this valley. I mean, could have gone right up to Ararat. So they are brave people to set a mountain on fire, but they did, and all the back burning happened. And what you saw, probably you might have saw that was near our place, that was the end result of the back burning coming back down this way. So, yeah, so it was really, it took over 22,000 hectares in the Mount Cole area. But, a lot of smoke, and it was just a whole week. And, yeah, certainly in the CFA, a little Warrak tanker, we were out every day, and I think I was on it most days. And but certainly you got, they have these called strike teams. We had trucks from Gippsland and Mildura, and they come in a group of 5, and so we needed them and hundreds of forest fire guys, which are really good.
Because the bloke next door to me here in Geelong West, he is part of the Geelong West Brigade, funnily enough. And the thing that we forget, Rob, is that he holds down a normal job, so he had to take time off work as a firefighter, ironically, at the refinery. He then had to go up to, it was more at the Raglan end of the fire, more so than closer to you where you are, Shane. And one night he came back from having been up there and fought in that bushfire to find that there was a major fire in Geelong that night at 2 a.m. So he'd got back at something like 10:30, hopped into bed, but because there was a fire in his normal territory, he had to get up, fight that, then go back to bed, have a couple of hours sleep, and get in the truck and go back to Raglan.
Yeah, look, and like I said, everyone's a volunteer, so it's it's amazing what people expect. I mean, I walk away from my job; it's their own business and that sort of stuff. But these other guys that drop their mechanics tools or their the truck driving stuff to then go and do that, it is amazing. The government keeps saying they appreciate it, but I don't think they do. It's to save them money.
Well, I did make the observation earlier, Shane, that there are a number of people who work in government departments who found if they drive 25 kilometres out of the centre of town, they might find there's a place called Regional Victoria.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't have a clue. That's a big aid. And look, tell you the worst thing about this whole thing, that you've been here, mobile phone coverage. We don't have it here, basically. That's why you're talking to me on a landline. There's all these black spots, and people are going to die because of not having mobile phone coverage. I mean, I saw firefighters standing on the top of the truck with their arm in the air trying to ring their wife and tell them they're safe, or so they won't be home for 2 days, and it just doesn't work. And even on the fire front here, we had an example. We had what's called a quick fill, which is a pump you put in a dam so you can fill the trucks up, and ours broke, so we had to get another one very quickly. And so, of course, the mobile phones didn't work. I had to leave. I had my own truck that's got a radio in it. I had to leave the fire front, drive 3 kilometres back to my own house to use the landline to call someone to get another quick fill here. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And you're in the middle of absolutely nowhere, aren't you? Like 7 kilometres out of a major town.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes east of Warrak.
Yeah, and about, 3/4 an hour up the road from Ballarat. It's very, very remote. Not.
Yeah.
Shane, I'd like to make an observation and a comment, and probably in it an apology. Perception. Neil has spoken very highly of you. I don't know you other than a couple of chats on the radio, but Perception is a fellow who's growing wine in that neck of the woods. There is a perception that you wouldn't necessarily be engaged with your community, but I'm stunned and impressed, and I want to congratulate you on that. You are very much part of an agricultural community. We know wool and wheat growers are very much part of farming, but we never thought about wine growers being part of a community, an agricultural community. So your story really impresses me, but it also saddens me again to know that not only do you have to volunteer to put out fires to protect our state, you've got to go and raise money to buy the equipment that you need to use. And you've told me another side of the story this morning about the communication or lack thereof. Is it just out of total necessity that you and your community, despite people working against your best interest, just continue to turn up?
Yeah, look, if you don't, what's going to happen? I mean, you get called out not only to fires. I mean, this is a big one here, but we got called out last night to a fire over at Crowlands, which is, 14 k's, 15 k's away.
It's where our mate Alan Hart lives. We spoke to Alan a few weeks ago.
If you go over there to help them because you want them to come over here and help you, type thing. And the alarm goes, you get down the station and you just see who turns up. And some people can't, then, they could be 50 k's away. And all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 and a driver, so let's go. So, and the old thing is that we're getting a couple of new people in our CFA, but most of them, I'm 63 and I was the young one for a while, so
yeah.
And I was the young one for a while, but they've got a few joining now. But then there's all these barriers of getting the people to join them. We had a lady who the other night who wants to join, but because she's from New Zealand, she's got to go back and get all her travel documents and get even put down what flight she got to get here 20 years ago. I mean, just all these barriers, it's ridiculous.
It's a good point you make about the next generation, and I've noticed from our local fire brigades around here, there's volunteers, but it's the same ones, and they are definitely 50 plus or beyond. Getting new recruits is very difficult. It's not sort of a sexy thing to do, and I think younger people tend not to be engaged in the community as we were when we grew up. You as a brigade, and more just your own, but right across the state, is there a conversation being had about the future of the CFA?
Oh, not so much about the future. There's always a conversation about getting volunteers to get involved, but it's just the bureaucratic. Look, when I joined, I've been here nearly 10 years, so 10 years ago, and there's we've got people who've been in 40 years. But when I joined, I did 2 days training, did a bit online, and that was it. Now that they want to join, they've got to have a working with children. They've got to go through all these government departments. You've got to do 3 days, and you've got to do it online. And we've had one guy who's been trying to join for a couple of months, and there's this one technicality when he does it online that kicks him out all the time. All of a sudden he's working with children was just out of date by the time he did it, and he just can't get on the truck. It's just, and even another thing they're trying to do is all these old farmers who drive the fire truck have been driving for 40 years. They're talking about them making them go back to do a 3-day course on how to drive a truck again.
Yeah, that's not...
Shane, just quickly, let's go to wine. Tariffs in China, which had a devastating effect, apparently returning to normal there. What does that actually mean? Quickly explain to the layman for your industry.
Well, particularly for some of the bigger guys who used to export for China, it just means that, certainly they haven't been selling any in China. I think it was a 218% tax they put on it. But there's just so much wine around it, mate. We've got a glut of wine because it hasn't been going. It's going to other markets, but it's just a glut. Everyone's got wine in their tanks, so it's going to be an issue, for a while until it catches up. Like I said, the China one will affect the big ones that used to export. We're too small. We did nothing to do with us, but it all trickles down. All of a sudden there's, we had some wine that was sold to another a person here was going to mix it and all that over the last couple of years, but still on our tanks because that was going to China, and so we didn't sell. Not a huge amount because we're only we're a micro winery, but certainly some of the bigger ones that there'll be a lot of catching up to do. But most wineries have got tanks full of wine that they couldn't sell, that haven't been bottled, and there are some of the bigger wine growing regions. They're probably not even going to, they're not paying what they used to pay per tonne, and so there's a lot of particularly Shiraz, there's a lot of wine around.
I know a bloke who'll take some off your hands. Shane, great to chat. We've got to get going because Big Tom's next door, ready to go. But Rob made the observation that being in the CFA is not sexy. He hasn't seen you in your firefighting suit.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of yellow.
In your case, a lot of yellow. Great to chat, mate. Great to see you came out the other side safely. All the best to you and Jane.
No, thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Best wishes.